Welcome to part one of the HMS Astute build-up. This is a 1/350 scale kit by Hobbyboss. It's just over 27 meters in length and just over 3 centimeters in width. There is another one, or there is another kit out that's practically the same as this as well, which is, I do believe it's made by Trumpeter. What I can tell you about that kit, I have actually seen it myself firsthand. It's more of a toy than a model. Basically, the other kit comes pre-painted, and it looks as though it's been pre-painted as well. And it's got that kind of pre-painted toyish look to it. It doesn't come with decals, but it comes with stickers. Which again make it look more toyish than anything else. So I opted for the Hobbyboss version of the kit, mainly because it comes unpainted, so you can do the painting yourself, and it also comes with decals rather than stickers. So by the time you've done all the painting and everything, and you've got the final clear finish over the top of it, all of the decals will settle in and actually look proper. It also comes with a little sprue of photo etch. So excuse me, nothing like I've actually done in the past, so I mean this photo etch is going to be a bit of a cinch to do really. And if I'm to be fair, there's a few parts of that I won't be using as well. The reason why I say that is that I'm actually putting this on a seascape, so it's really only the top part of the submarine that I'm interested in. You know, I mean, at one point I was actually thinking about being really funny and just having the periscope coming up out of the water and saying there's the build, it's all finished, but yeah, I just decided not to do that because otherwise that would be a bit silly, a waste of time and a waste of money. But the thought did cross my mind nonetheless. But yeah, as I say, I'm going to be doing this on a seascape, so I'm only really going to be using the top half of the vessel for it. Now, HMS Astute is also the ship of the line as well, basically, so it's the first submarine of the Astute class. Now, the other thing with this kit is really, to be fair, there is not a great deal of parts to it. In fact, it is, for want of a better word, a really simple build. Now, I've already actually taken all the parts out and had a good look at them already, so there are no parts in bags. So if we just take a quick look at the instructions that are always that are folded in half. I mean, the instructions when they're out are about quarter of the size bigger than the box. So the front page of the instructions basically says, it just gives you the Astute submarine on there. It also gives you please read before operation. I think they've lost that in translation, to be fair, because we're not operating on it, we're building it. I'm not a doctor, so I don't operate. And then you've got the other little symbols down here as well that basically tell you what's what, methods for applying decals, etc. We then go to page 2. Page 2 is basically the parts list. So you've got the upper hull, the lower hull, the only sprue tree in the kit, which is there, which doesn't have that many parts on it. You've got the stand there. You've also got the photo etch sprue just there, and you've also got the decals just there. And then with the upper hole, it's just basically saying that you got to make some holes in those areas. The second page, or the third page, should I say, really, is basically the whole is mainly the instructions for putting the whole thing together, really. So they're just telling you to slap the top half and the bottom half together, and then you've got all of the bits for the conning tower. You get the different options there. You've also got, one of a better word really, the ailerons. It's a bit of a plain thing, but yeah, they do the same thing. And then you've got the rudders at the back there as well, and then you've got the propeller, and down at the bottom there you've also got the part that covers the propeller as well, to try and cut down on the cavitation, I think that is. Then on this one, it's basically telling you to put the rest of the parts in, and the conning tower parts if you're going that far, and then some of the photo etch parts, and then basically into the stand, and that's it. That is the instructions. The whole great big whopping 4 pages. You do get a colour call out with the kit as well, so it's just basically called marking and painting. So it gives you the idea of where all of the decals go on both sides, and it also gives you a shot of the bow and the stern of the submarine as well. And down at the bottom, which is quite useful actually, it does give you the colours to use from Mr. Hobby, Valio, Model Master, Tamiya, and also Humbrol, which is absolutely brilliant. So that's a big help for quite a few people. I mean, I know, some people swear by a particular brand of paint, like myself. Tamiya is kind of all the way for me, really, and that's just one-sided, but again, that will really help with the painting of it. It's kind of a shame really that I'm only using the one part, because the bottom part is actually quite well detailed. The only thing is, there is a big seam line running down there, which, I mean, obviously wouldn't take too much to get rid of, you know, but again, I don't need to, so this part's going in the parts box. And then if we look at the front, you can actually see there as well, you've got a mould line there that needs to be removed, but you've also got some pretty intricate details up around the front there. And there's some on some of the other parts as well, if we can try and get those in shot. There you go, you can just see those details popping through there, and then it's the same with that side as well. So that's again, as I say, that's the part we're not using. That's the stand that it comes with, which again won't be used. This is the top section of the hull, and this does actually come with some really good detailing moulded into the kit as well. See if we can actually, there you go, yeah, you can just see some of the detailing in there, and then you've got some more detailing there, and then if we just turn it to the side, you can see some pretty decent detailing all the way down the side of the kit, and there's more detailing on the top. So it's a pretty good kit. So as I say, we will be using that part. Excuse me. The one and only sprue is there, So you've got basically the two options for the conning towers that you're going to use. You've got all of the little components that go into the conning towers there. You've got other little parts that go in. And so again, some of these we won't actually be using. The front ailerons we will, but the rear ones we won't be. We won't be using this cone or any of the propellers, etc. All these two bits down here. So again, they just go in the parts box. This is the absolutely massive, ginormous and gigantic, oh sorry, photo etch. And that's what you get. Again, some of these parts won't actually be used because some of them do actually go onto the bottom. I'm still kind of thinking to myself, am I going to use this part for the display? I'm not sure yet, to be fair. I mean, that is quite nice. I mean, what you could actually do is with some fairly thin down black paint, you could actually paint around that so you've only got the shiny Astute class submarine parts shining through, and that might look pretty good. So that's the as I say, that's the photo etch. These are the decals for it. Again, most of these we won't be using, like these yellow ones here. They go on the side of the submarine that's underwater, so we won't be using those. But there are a few bits and pieces around here that we will be using, so the blue one and the red ones and the white ones, etc. So we can start to, we will be using most of those, which is quite good. So that's the submarine itself. Let me just get this packed away, and then we can take a look at all of the other bits and pieces that we are going to use for this kit. So the ship itself, I think, is going to be the quickest, or the submarine itself is going to be the quickest part to build. This is the base that I'm going to use for it. Let's see if we can pan out a bit. There you go. This is actually a picture frame, believe it or not. It was I think about £8 off of eBay, so you know, you can't kind of knock it really. I mean, I couldn't have made this for £8 myself, to be fair. The only thing that I've actually replaced is the hardboard in the back because it was too loose and it didn't fit in properly. So what I'm going to need to do, once I've actually found the right depth for this, I'll need to set that in place so I can basically from the bottom I can hot glue that in from the back side, and then on the top side I'll just run a bead of the scenic Woodland Scenics realistic water down the sides of it on the inside, and that will then block off any holes from that side. And the good thing with that stuff is that it does dry clear, so I'm quite happy about that. But yeah, I just need to, as I say, I just need to find the depth, because basically the submarine itself is kind of going to sit at an angle like so, and as I say, I just need to find the right depth for that so I can have this up slightly more. I've actually found some pictures online of the ship on the surface, where it's chugging along at a fair old clip, and you've got these where the bow wave is building up across the front. It creates a dip in the water on both sides, and that's why I kind of really need to just find out what height I need this to be sitting at, because I want to try and replicate those dips on both sides as best as I possibly can. So that's the stand. As I say, not a very big stand, but it's still pretty good. The water scenic stuff that I will be using for this as well to help me. Get all of these out. So basically we've got the water undercoat, which is a green moss. Sorry, excuse me. And this will basically seal the whole of the bottom and the sides on the inside of the base with that. So that basically forms a protective seal for you, so when you do put your clear water in there, it doesn't actually drain through. I've also got the deep water clear. Oh, let's get that in camera shot. So it's the deep pour water clear from Woodland Scenics as well. This is one of their sort of newest products that they make. I think it's only been out for about a year or so. But basically, this in it contains a bag, some funky gloves, 2 mixing cups, you also get the water activator, the deep pour clear water itself, you also get something that's fallen on the floor out of the box. Let me just pick those up. There we go. Okay, so you basically get the milliliters to put on the side of the cup, so you know what you're doing. And you also get two lollipop sticks, and you also get the deep pour water instructions. Basically, the quick and dirty version of how you do this is both of these need to be put into warm water, not hot water, but warm water, and you leave them in there for, I think it's about 10 or so minutes, and that's why you get this bag, because you have to put them in the little baggie to stop any water getting into these. Once you've done that, you just use equal parts of the deep pour and the activator, and then you have to stir those for what like seems hours and hours and hours, but really isn't. And with them, you can use a tint. Now with this one, I'm going to be using the sage green as the tint, mainly because the sea state that I'm going for is kind of like a greenish sea that we see quite a lot around the British Isles. So I'll be using that to tint the water. Now again, this stuff is like ultra concentrated, so you only need sort of 2 or 3 drops of this, or you know, maybe 12 or so drops, to actually give the sea that colour. So we'll be using that stuff to tint the deep pour. This deep pour, just as a side note, does actually come in a murky one as well, which is kind of like more for ponds and stuff like that, but you can actually use this for sort of like open bodies of water, as I say, with the tints. The other ones that we've got, again, another one is the water ripples. So with this, we can actually form water ripples on the surface of the water. We've also got the water waves as well. With basically this, you can actually sculpt waves. You can basically do anything with this, really. You can do breaking waves with this, you know. that surfers love, the tunnel waves, I can't remember what they call them. You can do all sorts of stuff with this, and it's really good. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm actually going to be using to create the dip in the water on both sides of the bow. So that should hopefully look pretty good by the time we got that done. The other thing that we will be using is what they call the white water highlight. So when we've got cresting waves, etc., and we've got waves breaking, this is what we use for that as well. Now with these two products, the water waves and the water ripples, you can actually also use the Wally pop sticks, or tongue depressors as I like to call them, to actually get the waves to conform to how you want them. And the other good thing about these two products as well is the fact that if you use a little bit of water on the edge of these, it doesn't actually stick to the lollipop stick, so you can actually sort of fine detail sculpt it in that way as well. So these are the kind of things that I'm going to be using, and as I say, I think it's going to take longer to actually do the diorama or the seascape for this than it is to build the submarine. It does take, I think, up to sort of 24 hours for this stuff to dry, maybe a bit longer depending on the heat and humidity levels. But yeah, this is what we're going to be doing with it, and hopefully, you know, this is the first time really that I'm going to be using all of these products for a seascape. I'm just going to test them out, see how good they are. Hopefully, you know, from watching all of the videos on Woodland Scenics in regards to the water systems, they are really good. Only limited by your imagination really as to what kind of things that you can use them for. So yeah, this is the stuff I'm going to be using. Hopefully it's going to look pretty good. Yeah, if we look actually on the box there, I'm not sure how well that's going to come out, but this part here is actually used with the sage green. So it kind of gives you an idea of how we're going to be sort of doing this. But yeah, that's about it. So I'm going to sort of crack on and get some work done to this, and as soon as I've made some progress, I will come back to you.